mind of the past cannot be held onto. The mind of the present cannot be held onto. The mind of the future cannot be held onto. The Diamond Sutra. And yet at 3 a.m, your mind tries to grasp all of it at once. Yesterday's regrets, today's pressure, tomorrow's fears. That's why this hour feels so heavy. But what if the night is not here to trap you? What if it's here to release you? Waking up at 3 a.m. can feel like a problem, but it can also be a signal. Not a magical sign, just a human one. The body becomes still, and what you've been avoiding during the day finally finds room to appear. At that hour, the mind has no distractions, so it speaks louder. And when it speaks louder, it also reveals what's more true. Fear, guilt, old worries, questions you never fully answered for yourself. In Buddhism, the point isn't to fight it or interpret it with anxiety. The point is to look at it clearly. This is here, and if it's here, it deserves attention, not rejection. Because suffering grows when we push it down, and it begins to change when we see it without lying to ourselves. Maybe this hour is a threshold, not toward something outside of you, but toward an inner understanding. A moment where you can choose the middle way, neither sinking into fear nor pretending nothing is happening, just breathing, observing, and letting go of what you no longer need to carry. What you're about to hear isn't meant to scare you more, but to accompany you through this night with clarity, with compassion, and with that silent medicine Buddhism always offers, returning to the present, even if only for an instant. In the quiet of the early morning, at 3 o'clock, there's a strange moment when so many people today wake up suddenly, as if something invisible had touched their shoulder. They open their eyes, stare into the darkness, turn in bed, and can't fall back asleep. This has become so common, it feels like a silent normal that wears down the body and drains the mind. Western medicine calls it simply a sleep disorder, and tries to explain it with precise machines and advanced theories, yet it still can't fully answer an unsettling question. Why do so many people across different cultures, different lives, wake up at that exact same hour? And then rumors appear. The idea of a spirit hour, old stories, legends passed from mouth to mouth, and without realizing it, fear settles in the chest like a shadow. But in Eastern wisdom, and especially on the path of the Buddha, waking up at 3 a.m. is not an accident. It is not random. It is deeply connected to karma, to causes and conditions, to the wheel of samsara, and to the seeds we carry, planted far earlier than human memory can reach. In Buddhist teaching, that awakening can be a call, a doorway, a subtle turning of destiny trying to bring you back onto the path. In the traditional division of time, that stretch is a moment of transition, when the night begins to loosen its grip and the day prepares to be born. Buddhism teaches that everything we experience arises due to conditions. Sleep, insomnia, even that exact hour when your awareness opens without your permission. The Shurangama Sutra speaks of how nighttime perceptions can arise as dreams, as illusions, as reflections of the mind. And that short teaching holds an immense truth. What happens in this life, even the way you sleep, is tied by invisible threads to ancient causes. There are karmas not yet resolved, promises not yet fulfilled, emotions trapped deep within the heart. So the question is not, why is this happening to me? But, what is this trying to teach me? The ancient masters said these hours are especially sensitive. Many spiritual traditions choose the pre-dawn hours to meditate because the silence is purer. The mind is less contaminated by the noise of the day, and the heart listens more clearly. In that moment, subtle energy moves strongly, and consciousness can enter concentration more easily. So for a practitioner, waking up at that hour can be an inner calling, not a punishment, not a threat, a calling. From the Buddhist view, waking frequently at that hour is often linked to three deep causes. The first is guidance from good actions. Karma works like a shadow that follows the body. If in a past life you were a practitioner who meditated in the early morning, that habit leaves a mark, a seed in the deep mind, in the storehouse consciousness. And in this life, without you deciding it, your body and mind return to wake at the same hour, not because something is wrong with you, but because something in you remembers the path. It is the fruit of a luminous cause. The second cause is an unresolved bond. The Avatamsaka Sutra teaches that the ocean of karmic obstacles is born from illusions and attachments. If in past lives, or even in your childhood, this hour was marked by something intense, a fear, a loss, a boundary experience, the mind stores that impression. And when that moment of the night arrives, the impression activates. You wake with palpitations, sweating, restlessness, as if the body remembers something the conscious mind cannot name. In truth, you are not being attacked. You are hearing the echo of a story that still asks for understanding and healing. The third cause is awakening through spiritual opportunity. The Diamond Sutra reminds us that the past cannot be grasped, the present cannot be grasped, the future cannot be grasped, yet karma still acts. And sometimes when an important chance for transformation is near, karmic energy itself wakes your consciousness so you can seize the moment, as if life were saying, "Wake up, don't let this doorway pass." Some people don't wake up out of weakness, but because their soul is ready to take a step. In traditions of energy and Eastern medicine, it's also said that at that hour the body's channels are especially active. If there are blockages in the flow of breath, or tensions in the liver and lungs, the body may respond by waking. And what's most interesting is that this doesn't contradict Buddhism, because Buddhism does not separate body and mind as if they were enemies. The mind influences the body influences the mind, and both are part of causes and conditions. If the body is tense, the mind becomes restless. If the mind is restless, the body tightens. Everything is connected. Everything depends on everything. The great masters discovered something even more subtle. Many people who wake frequently at that hour have a particular spiritual sensitivity, or they carry a foundation of practice from past lives. In the deep silence of the night, it is easier to see the nature of the mind. One master said, "In the stillness of midnight, the mind becomes clear, and it can recognize its own essence." That is why so many meditators choose that instant, because the world goes quiet and the heart speaks. If we look honestly, those who wake at that hour often fall into three groups. The first, those who wake and feel clear, as if their mind were luminous and their heart calm. People who sense a special alignment of energy and a rare clarity. The second, those who wake with fear, with palpitations, with a sense of threat, where karmic imprints and unresolved bonds appear with greater force. The third, those who wake with anxiety, tightness in the chest, uncomfortable breathing, and a mixture of irritation and exhaustion, where there is often a physical component as well. Blocked channels, stagnant energy, and the body asking for attention. A great Pure Land master taught something powerful, that awakening, even if born of ancient causes, can be transformed into a path. It can become merit. It can become a blessing, if instead of fighting it, you turn it into practice. Because life doesn't wake you up so you can suffer. It wakes you up so you can see. It wakes you up so you can know yourself. It wakes you up so you can return to yourself. From the modern view, medicine explains that at that hour, melatonin drops. The brain begins to activate. The body prepares for dawn. That is true. But it doesn't explain why, around the world, so many people wake with a feeling that is almost spiritual, as if something deeper were happening. And here is where Buddhism offers an answer that is not superstition, but wisdom. Not everything real is measured by instruments. There are inner realities understood only through observation, through meditation, through silence. There was once a layperson who had been waking up at 3 a.m. for more than 3 years. Night after night, he would rise, unable to sleep, and the pain kept stealing his hope. He sought doctors, took pills, tried everything, and nothing worked. One day he heard of the medicine Buddha, the great compassionate healer who relieves the suffering of beings, and a small light ignited in his heart. With fear and devotion, he set out to seek him. After much effort, he arrived at an ancient temple on a mountain wrapped in mist. There, in a silent hall, he saw the medicine Buddha seated on a lotus, radiating a gentle, warm, deep light, like a light that could dissolve all the darkness in the world. His eyes were so compassionate, it felt as if they could see the hidden pain inside every being. The layperson fell to his knees, wept as though his soul had broken, and said with a trembling voice, "Medicine Buddha, I've been waking up every night at 3 a.m. for more than 3 years. After that, I can't sleep again. I've visited doctors, I've taken pills. Nothing works. I've read that it could be something dark, that it could be a health problem, and I don't know what to do anymore. I'm losing the courage to keep living." The medicine Buddha gently raised his hand and motioned for him to stand. With a calm, steady voice, he asked, "Have you thought about why exactly 3 and not 2 or 4? Why, in this vast river of time, does destiny choose to wake you in this instant?" The layperson lifted his tear-soaked face and replied, "I don't know. I only know that when that hour arrives, it feels like an invisible hand tears me from sleep. Fear floods me, helplessness, and I don't understand why. I've thought 1,000 times in the dark and never found an answer." The medicine Buddha looked at him with compassion and said, "That moment is a threshold. It is a transition. It is not an accident. It is not a curse. It is cause and effect. Behind this pain lies a profound relationship between your karma, your mind, and the Dharma. This is a special calling, a turning point in your life." The layman opened his eyes in shock and asked, "So this has something to do with my past lives? Does it mean something dark is touching me?" The medicine Buddha slowly shook his head and said, "The Dharma speaks of cause and effect. Everything moves through conditions. There is nothing to fear, no ghosts. This is your karmic energy interacting with the rhythms of the universe. Each awakening is a message, an opportunity to reflect, to mature, and to wake up." The layman was still confused. The medicine Buddha fell silent for a moment, as if he wanted those words to enter the layman's heart without hurry. Then he spoke gently. Sometimes, when sleep breaks, it is not the night attacking you. It is consciousness calling you. And so that you understand, let me tell you a very ancient story. A story born of determination and the search for truth. The story of Anuruddha and his vow not to sleep. Long ago, the Buddha said, within the Sangha, the community of disciples, there lived a monk named Anuruddha. He was not the strongest, nor the most eloquent, nor the one who sought admiration, but in his heart burned an authentic thirst for awakening, a thirst that cannot be satisfied by theories or promises, only by practice. Anuruddha wanted to see the truth with his own mind. He wanted to cut the root of suffering. He wanted to free himself from confusion, and not only for himself, but to honor the Buddha's teaching with his entire life. One night, while listening to the Dharma, sleep overcame him. His head gently dropped, and his breathing grew heavy. In that instant, Anuruddha felt a quiet shame, not the shame of wounded pride, but the shame of a heart that recognizes its own fragility. He felt sleep like a fog stealing his lucidity, as if the mind shut down precisely when truth was speaking. When the teaching ended, he returned to his place with a tight chest, and there, beneath the trembling light of an oil lamp, he made a vow. From today on, I will not sleep until my mind is steady. I will not sleep until my attention is unbreakable. I will not sleep until the truth becomes so clear that not even darkness can cloud it. At first, his decision seemed heroic. Some admired him in silence. Others said nothing, but watched him as one watches someone walking along a blade. And Anuruddha, night after night, kept himself awake. He sat with a straight back, breathing, chanting, walking slowly in meditation. He listened to the song of insects. He listened to the wind brushing the leaves. He listened to the night as if the night were an ancient teacher. Hours passed, and still he remained there, resisting. But the body does not understand spiritual pride. The body only understands causes and conditions, and when one condition is forced, sooner or later the result appears. His eyes began to burn. His vision became fragile. Light hurt him. Dryness wounded him. And yet Anuruddha did not want to give in. If I give in, he thought, my mind will fall asleep again, and I will remain trapped. And so, without realizing it, he turned practice into a struggle. He turned discipline into rigidity. He turned the desire to awaken into a battle against his own nature, until one day his sight dimmed almost completely. It was as if the night he had so fiercely challenged had taken away his outer vision. When the Buddha heard of it, he did not scold him. He did not humiliate him. He did not call him proud. He looked at him with the compassion of one who understands the human heart, and he spoke with the clarity of one who knows the path. Anuruddha, he said, practice is not violence. The Dharma is not war against the body. The path is not destroying yourself to prove your faith. The path is the middle way, neither indulgence nor torture, neither neglect nor excess. The mind needs clarity, yes, but the body also needs care, because the body is the boat, and if you break the boat, how will you cross the river? Anuruddha lowered his head. In his silence there was pain, but also humility. And the Buddha taught him something finer, deeper, and more difficult for an anxious heart to understand. He taught him to hold attention without harshness, to awaken without aggression, to practice as one holds a candle in the wind, steadily yet tenderly, protecting the flame without suffocating it. He taught him to rest in the breath, to watch thought without chasing it, to observe sensation without judging it, to remain as a mountain remains, without needing to fight the sky. And then something happened that very few people understand. Although Anuruddha lost part of his outer sight, his inner vision became luminous. Where he once looked with eyes, he now looked with awareness. Where he once depended on the world's light, he now discovered a silent light within the heart. He began to see the nature of the mind, to see how thoughts are born, how they are sustained, how they dissolve. He began to see that suffering does not come from what happens, but from what the mind clings to. He began to see that sleep and wakefulness are only phenomena, and that what is real is the attention that contemplates them. The medicine Buddha paused. The air of the temple seemed to breathe. Then he said to the layman, "Do you understand now? Even the mistake becomes teaching. Even the loss becomes a doorway. Because the Dharma does not seek perfection, it seeks awakening. And awakening does not mean controlling everything. It means seeing clearly what is happening within you." The layman listened with an open heart, as if the story were speaking directly to his own life, and the Buddha continued slowly, like someone placing medicine on a sick person's tongue, with patience. Anuruddha teaches you something you must remember when you wake up at 3 in the morning. Waking up is not a punishment. Waking up is not a sign that you're cursed. Sometimes it is an invitation, a call to attention, a chance to listen to your mind in silence. But one thing is essential. Do not turn that opportunity into torture. Do not turn it into an enemy. Do not turn it into a battle. Some people wake at that hour and fill with fear. They think of shadows, bad omens, dark forces, and then the mind creates a hell with the very same energy it could use to create peace. And other people wake up and demand too much of themselves. They force themselves to practice harshly. They punish themselves, they tense up, and they believe that if they cannot dominate sleep, they have failed. But that is not the path. That too is ignorance. Because the Dharma does not ask for rigidity, it asks for wisdom. It asks for gentle discipline, for a steadiness that does not break the heart. Your waking at 3 in the morning is a door, the medicine Buddha said, but a door is crossed with calm, with respect, with balance. If you cross it with fear, you crash into it. If you cross it with pride, you fall. But if you cross it with presence, you enter a new space. A space where karma can speak to you, not to punish you, but to show you what needs to be understood. The Buddha asked the layman to close his eyes. "Breathe," he said. "Feel the air come in. Feel the air go out. Do not fight what you feel. Do not try to escape. Just observe. Observe the way Anuruddha learned to observe. Observe the heartbeat. Observe the tension. Observe the sadness. Observe the thought. You are not those things. They only arise, and what arises also passes. When you wake at that hour," he continued, "do not say, 'This is my enemy.' Say, 'This is my teacher.' Do not say, 'I want to run away.' Say, 'I want to understand.' If your heart trembles, breathe. If your mind races, breathe. If fear appears, look at it like a cloud passing through the sky. And repeat gently, not as an obligation, but as an inner caress. May I be at peace. May my mind be clear. May my heart be compassionate." That is meditation. That is refuge. That is Dharma. Remember Anuruddha, the medicine Buddha concluded. He tried to defeat sleep with harshness and lost his sight. But when he found the middle way, He gained a vision no one could ever take from him. So it will be with you. You do not need to conquer the night. You need to illuminate it. You do not need to fight your karma. You need to listen to it, understand it, and transform it. In every awakening, life is offering you a lamp, and you choose. You can use that lamp to see fear, or you can use it to see truth. The layman felt his chest soften. His tears were no longer tears of despair, but of relief. It wasn't euphoria, not a passing emotion. It was a deep rest, as if his soul had finally found somewhere to set down its weight. And in that instant, he understood that his awakening was not a sentence. It was an invitation to practice, an invitation to come home within himself. The medicine Buddha continued gently. Do not avoid it. Do not reject it. Waking at that hour is not a disaster. It is awakening. It is an opportunity for dialogue with your karma, a moment to draw closer to the Dharma. Observe carefully. What do you feel when you wake? How is your body? What images appear in your dreams? Every detail can be a key. The layman remembered and said, Often my heart beats fast, my mouth is dry. Sometimes I dream of unknown shadows. Sometimes I hear something like a light drizzle near my ear. And when I wake, I feel a deep sadness, as if I've forgotten something important, and I can't remember it. It breaks me. The medicine Buddha said, That is an unresolved bond. Those are ancient seeds still alive in your consciousness. They have not disappeared. They were only asleep. Now they rise at the threshold of night, so that you may see them, understand them, and release them. Every dream, every sensation is a call from your soul, the connection between what you once were and what you are now. The layman asked desperately, So am I condemned? If it is karma, does it mean I must suffer forever? The medicine Buddha brought his hands together, recited a mantra, and the sacred sound filled the temple like a current of peace. Then he opened his eyes and said, Karma is not a fixed destiny. Karma can be transformed. One who awakens can turn karmic force into the power of the path. From today on, do not see that awakening as a nightmare. See it as a doorway of practice. There is no cause that cannot be purified. There is no pain that cannot become wisdom, if you walk with faith and steadiness. Then he taught him a practice for that instant. When you wake, do not rush to fight sleep. Do not panic. Sit in silence. Take 3 deep breaths. Feel the air entering and leaving. Place your attention on the body, on the breath, and repeat calmly, Namo Bhai Sajjaguru Vaidurya Prabha Tathagata. I take refuge in the medicine Buddha, the lapis lazuli light. Feel his compassion entering your mind. Then generate a thought of kindness. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings find peace. If your mind is very agitated, recite the Medicine Buddha Sutra, even just a fragment, with sincerity. If you do this every day, your mind will stabilize, your body will purify, and karmic energy will weaken. And then you will understand something. The pain was not punishment. It was a teacher. It was the fire purifying your path. The layman, with tears of gratitude, knelt and said, Thank you for your compassion and your teaching. I promise to practice. I promise not to let this pain defeat me. I want to walk this path and find peace. The medicine Buddha smiled and said, You have understood something precious. Most people remain trapped in appearances. They cling to sleep and do not understand that awakening is the true moment of practice. In this world, Many get lost in external illusions and forget the true purpose of the heart. But you, in your pain, have sought liberation. That is already awakening. You have already taken the first step toward the light. Then the medicine Buddha told stories of two practitioners. The first was a scholar who often became ill and always woke at that hour. At first, his mind filled with anxiety, but he did not give up. He sought guidance, practiced with discipline, learned to unite his mind with the breath, and reconciled himself with the energy of the world. Over the years, he gained clarity, understood his mind, and wrote poems to help others. His story teaches that with method and determination, pain becomes a staircase. Every difficulty can become a step toward freedom. The second story was of a nun who, before ordaining, suffered constant nightmares. Every dawn she woke with terror and despair, as if falling into an abyss. One day she chose to retreat to the mountain and practice. An elderly nun taught her a method called observing the mind upon waking. Little by little, she transformed fear into the energy of practice. In time, her heart became steady, and what once was torture became the joy of the Dharma. Finally, she reached realization, and that story proves something. No matter what darkness you face, if you hold to the Dharma, there is always a path to liberation. Then the medicine Buddha looked at the layman with a loving strength and said, "Each pre-dawn awakening is an echo of karma and also an opportunity for practice. Some fear the night, others find light within the night. Believe this, you too can find your light." And he recited a verse to seal the teaching. Waking before dawn is not by chance. Everything returns to the heart in a single instant. If you sit in calm and observe, the illusory life stops dragging you. The layman listened and felt something open within him. He said with determination, "From today on, I will turn that hour into my practice. I will transform my worry into joy. I will purify my mind and care for my nature. I will not waste this opportunity. I want my life to be reborn through practice. I want to stop being a prisoner of pain." The medicine Buddha nodded. "Yes, remember, true practice is not only in temples and not only in the mountains. It is in every instant you awaken. In the silence where no one watches you, there the voice of your true nature can be heard. Practice does not mean fleeing the world. It means living each moment with awareness, with compassion, with wisdom. In a noisy city or a quiet field, if you carry the Buddha in your heart, any place becomes a dojo of the soul." Before leaving, he gave him a rosary and said, "This is not a material treasure. It is a reminder. When you wake, hold it in your hand, recite the Buddha's name, observe your mind, and return again and again to what is true." The layman received it with reverence, as one receives a lighthouse in the middle of the sea. From then on, every morning at 3 when he opened his eyes, he no longer filled with panic. He smiled softly. He remembered the teaching. He breathed, he recited, he observed, and little by little, his mind became steadier, his heart clearer, his life wider. Years later, that layman became a teacher who guided others, and he always began with the same words. "If you wake at 3 in the morning, do not be afraid. Smile. Ask yourself, why am I waking now? What bond have I not resolved? What path have I not walked?" In that silence, speak with your mind. Perhaps there you will find the answer. And he would conclude, "Do not fear pain, because pain is the path that matures the heart. Do not run from karma, because only by facing it is liberation born. Each awakening is a precious opportunity. It is destiny gently knocking at your door, reminding you of the path back home. And if you enjoy this kind of Buddhist content, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss each deep teaching, each reflection that can transform your life. And so we can keep exploring the wisdom of the Dharma together.